Welcome to What the Flick, everybody. The final episode of the 4th season of Homeland. Long time coming, it's called. Jenna, Alonso, Ben. I, of course, had this episode not so much spoiled for me, but, you know, not everyone watches shows at the same freaking time.
Happened to me too,
You got on
actually.
Twitter, didn't you?
I know, I saw one thing on Twitter, but I got off of it before it computed to mean anything. But I got 2 texts.
Oh, man.
I saw headlines from the East Coast feed.
Yeah, I got, but I mean, texts are like, shut up.
Oh,
dude.
yeah, tell your friends stuff.
One in Chicago,
No,
one
that's shitty.
on the East Coast. Like, come on, man. So I expected it to be without a cataclysmic event based on my reading of those texts. And so at first, then initially, I bought into that a little bit afterwards. Like, oh, that wasn't much of a finale. But then I find myself thinking about it and thinking about it this morning, and I now believe it to have been an outstanding
I think it's an
finale.
emotional cataclysm.
Yes.
Let's take a look at the clip.
Oh, thank you. Right.
Don't look so shocked. We have to see events for what they are. It's not what I've done, it's what I got in return. Not every choice we make is blessed with moral clarity. One adapts to the terrain. We are the no men of no man's land. What are you playing at, Carrie?
I call it give me what I fucking want.
It's good.
Not every choice is blessed with moral clarity. That's like the theme for the entire episode.
And also,
The entire series.
The entire-
is there anybody better to say that than F. Murray?
Oh,
Abraham?
yeah, no.
Yeah.
By the way-
Moral clarity. Clarity.
I've been getting that character's name wrong for several weeks, by the way, so my apologies. It's Dar Adal. I don't know why I was calling him Dahl, but whatever, you know.
It's Dar Adal. That's right. Dar Andrew Dahl. So, I mean, but a peculiar, what the hell kind of name? Why have they named him?
I thought he was Israeli, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. But so the moral relativism here, and that great line you mentioned, the lack of moral clarity, or whatever it was, but also this "we are the no men of no man's land" is a
Right.
great line, and that turns out it's taken right from Le Carre, right from Smiley's people. That's a George Smiley line.
Okay, that works.
Yeah, Dar Adal seems to have more power than anyone else in the world. He can take somebody off the kill list.
Yeah.
Wow, what the?
Well, he was from the moment he was introduced when Quinn showed up. He's always been like Mr. Black Ops, shadow government guy. So I at this point, nothing surprises.
You know, and keep in mind that the kill list is not like public. It's not like the 10 most wanted list. So theoretically, who's ever running the FBI is listening to whoever is in charge of this group and obviously he thought that, again, in this great bit of moral relativism, that there was a reasonable exchange to make between the guy who kills 36 Americans and breaches the embassy, but then makes what is a pretty good deal, which is
no harboring of terrorists.
I'll keep all terrorists out, and that's a worthy conversation to have. I mean, we like to think because you're a terrorist and you killed Americans that it's somehow different than if it were a uniformly dressed combat enemy who killed 3,600 Americans or 36,000 Americans. We'd make a deal with them.
Sure.
Yeah, it's true. He's fascinating though, and also F. Murray Abraham. Oh my God, I love you. Yeah. He's incredible, and I kind of want to see next season I want to see more about him because I'm fascinated by this character.
It seems like
they could have made him a more major player,
But after dropping him completely this season until at the end, it turns out
But that he was, but again, in the shadows, always there, you know.
Saul. No. You know, actually, the final scene I had just read this morning that there was originally dialogue after they see each other at the end, and they decided to cut it because it was stronger. Just seeing their faces and seeing Carrie's face. And
but like we just had the conversation where you kind of agreed with me. So then what is to get on Saul? Like Saul is making, I mean, look, it's easy to criticize Saul because it seems like it's just for his own personal gain, so desperate to get back in. But if it's the right deal, then maybe it's the right
Yeah,
then
not
maybe it's the right
criticizing
deal.
Saul so much as being heartbroken by what it did to Carrie. I don't know. I mean, again, this is one of those shows where I'm rooting for somebody who tried to drown her baby, and I recognize how weird that is.
Are we going to keep holding that against her? I'm sure lots of parents do that
she
sort
likes
of thing.
the baby now, so yeah.
Absolutely.
But
now,
no,
Saul in this episode is like the general in White Christmas.
Yes.
Really wants to get called back in, and they're all like, no, I don't know if that's going to be a thing. But no, I think what you're seeing in that last scene, what I love so much about this episode is that you have Dar Adal, who is the devil, basically. You have Saul, who has been at this long enough and made enough ethical compromises to where he sees the logic in all this, and whatever line in the sand he ever had has been moved so far back now that it's just not being crossed. But for Carrie, I think this is maybe one of the few times that she's finding herself on the horns of a dilemma, like, oh wow, this maybe is too unethical even for the world in which we inhabit. Like, she's no dummy. She knows the stuff that the CIA gets up to and the compromises and the choices and all that stuff, but this one just feels beyond the pale for her.
And I think also it's partially because, she just lost her father, Saul. Despite the fact she tried to seduce him one time, just the one time, he's sort of a father figure to her, and I think that was also just sort of a shock.
And she was looking for somebody. I mean, she called Quinn, and he's suddenly unavailable, and then Saul is not there either. I mean, and her mother too. Like, her mother comes back only to realize that her mother really wasn't there. Her mother didn't leave because her father was bipolar. Her mother left because her mom.
Is this the first mention of her ever? I mean, like, was the mother even fleetingly talked about?
I think we knew that the mother had left.
Okay.
The mother had leaving came out in season 1, I believe. But so really, one of the great scenes of all of Homeland is Quinn's line where he says, I think, right, when Carrie says, he says, you want me to come? And she's like, no, I'm kind of in the middle of something. And he says, right. Like, he's like, oh, okay, not working. Not working. I guess I'll go back and risk my life in Syria.
But we knew that Quinn wasn't going to quit. We knew that it was made clear from the German lady that he talks a good game every time he gets done with some shit mission.
I disagree. I mean, yes, that's been his pattern. People can eventually break patterns. He seemed super intent on it. His goal, I thought, the entire, as I said, I think in episode 1 or 2, his mission was to save Carrie. And he heard in her voice and in the way she responded to a really interesting TV kiss that no, he's not. He didn't get her. He didn't get her.
But Carrie's right. She is a mess, and she would fuck it up. And it's not the right time.
But he knows. But what he knew was true. What he said about himself was there's self-awareness. Like, yeah, I know I've tried to quit a zillion times. I can't quit. I can't do it on my own. I have to have somebody.
Yeah.
I got to have a reason not to.
Sure.
Be my reason not to. And she couldn't do it, so he's going to go back, and we're either going to get that letter read in episode 1 of season 5, or we're going to get him back. Yeah. But I have a feeling we're going to get the letter read.
I don't want the letter read. He's fantastic.
He's a great character.
He's so good, and it's fun. Not just because I'm shipping them, because honestly, I'm not. I don't. I like the kiss was great, and that was the thing that was spoiled for me in the headline. But I don't really care about that. I just like watching him. He's fascinating. He's just It's almost like when he's quiet, it sounds like he's speaking volumes.
He's like he is the most credible, or among the most credible. Watch the hyperbole. He is among the most credible, sensitive badasses that entertainment has created. They're always trying to do it.
Yeah.
But he's really believable. And when you saw him pick up the gun and run through the embassy after those guys, right? You were like, fucking Quinn, right? Right? You the man. But then he really is. He is in touch with his feelings.
Yes.
He recognizes his shortcomings, and he wants something more. You get the feeling when he said that he liked these few days of being home, that he did, and that Carrie said too that she had a good time.
But who wants that pressure laid on them of like being the person who has to keep the other one from like literally marching into death's door? You know, that's a lot to put on a new relationship.
Yeah.
You
You're right, but he would have done the same for her. I mean, right, when he knows that she needs that too, and she of course says, you know, when her sister unfairly says, you know, who leaves? You left. And Carrie correctly this time she's like, look, I got it. It's different. I'm not winning Mother of the Year, but I was always coming back.
Yeah.
And I am back.
So
you
I'm
know.
going to predict this is going to be like ER, where the series finale is going to be like Carrie, goes out to the middle of nowhere, drives up to a beautiful cabin in the mountains, and out of the door comes in a weathered flannel shirt Quinn.
Right.
That'll be the ending of this show.
Lovely.
All right, I'll take that. I'll take that. I
mean, how do you have relationships with people who are this devoted to work? Because you've got Saul and his wife, you've got Carrie with, nothing ever works. I mean, she obviously has to be with somebody who understands who she is, but unless there's somebody on the other side that does, nothing can work. I mean, look how messed
But kindly sensitive black man dropped a lot of responsibility on her too, telling her what her father's like. Her, she'd always come back. He knew she'd come back. Like you, there is a that's gonna carry some weight. But she's going somewhere next year. But maybe just to Langley, in which case she just works 10-hour days, 12-hour days. But she does come home.
One of my favorite moments was when they're sitting around drinking whiskey after the funeral, and they invite Lockhart in the circle.
Yeah.
I know who wants lasagna at 10 o'clock, and she's like, I do.
But that was just such a moment because he had been the bureaucrat and like the enemy coming from Congress to fuck up everything. But now that he's been through Islamabad and all this other stuff, it's like, okay, you're in. You are one of us now.
And he also understands, like, I get what you guys are going through because I'm now about to get put through it. I'm going to lose my job. But everything about that was great. My wife made me bring this. Who wants lasagna? Should take it. And then invite. And then he's like,
I'll have it your
okay then. Right. But he's ready to leave.
Yeah.
And then when she asked him to stay, and they didn't dwell on that scene. We see some degree of camaraderie and happiness and peace from those people, even if it's for a brief moment, drinking whiskey out of a paper cup and having lasagna.
The finale, because I thought the same thing you did at first. I was like, wow, not a lot of stuff happened. And I thought it's sort of, the structure is a little bit similar to Game of Thrones, in which the penultimate episode is the one with the big battle, and then the final episode, even though it wasn't really the last season, it was 2 episodes ago, but it's still, then the final one is sort of wrapping everything up.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
I did too, but there was a lot of, this was, as you said, I mean, it was emotionally cataclysmic. There was still, though it wasn't just wrapping up because we were dealt a significant wild card with Carrie's mom. And she's got a brother, and apparently it's not that far, Missouri. I would think D.C. to Missouri.
I drove all night, really?
Yeah.
Wow, you must have driven fast.
Yeah. But I like that Quinn, he not only he signed up, he canceled his Verizon plan. I mean, there's like a $175 early termination fee that goes with that too.
Well, that struck me as odd that it happened so quickly that she's getting the and I thought, well, maybe he just threw his phone in the pool again, but no, actually, you're right, it's a planned cancellation.
He's hard on
but that's also a suggestion there because he wrote the letter to Carrie.
Yeah.
Right. So he's almost on a death wish. Like, I'm going to go over there and I will be, like, if I live, okay, but I'm going to be extra heroic to get this done. And if I have to run in the open street and shoot, I'll do that.
I think he's probably had to write one of those for every mission. What's important now is that she is the next of kin. Like, she's the one who's getting the letter.
I get it, but we saw it. Like, he is he
but
wanted,
no, you're right.
he wanted a life. Like,
Yeah.
like, that if Quinn were shot in the line of duty now, the way he is now, he'd be comfortable, I think, with that. I mean, he's lonely, and he's back to that empty apartment complex, and
Don't kill him. Please don't kill Quinn.
Yeah. Anyway, good stuff. Really.
A return to form after a very dodgy season 3.
And 2, I think, both were weak. But also, just what you mentioned it, but I mean, Saul's wife, get out. Like, it's done. Like, go back. Because I mean,
Let's look up with the French guy again.
I mean, right, here's a moment. Even he was a spy, but who cares?
Who cares?
It doesn't matter.
He's a good lay,
He's a very tender lover. My mom once said that about her new boyfriend. Ben, you don't understand. He's a very tender lover.
Tender is my moist. That's like a word I just can't.
Yeah, and factor it in with your 71-year-old mother.
That's.
And so the.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome. But I mean, so he's at his low point. He's had these terrible things. She's crying and begging him to survive and begging Carrie to get Saul through this. And he comes back, and all he wants to do is get back. He can't even look at her.
No.
I mean, it was so good. He won't even make eye contact with her. I'm late for a meeting. I got to go. He's just brusquely walking past her.
Yeah.
And of course, when she finds out that he's going to be director again, which it appears. Also, a great moment for Dar. Like, it wasn't just that this was a good deal. Like, I mean, obviously he thinks that they need a guy like Saul who understands the complexities.
Sure.
But I mean, a big move for your pal. Like, you know, I mean, it's like.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. Dar is like always going to be more powerful than whoever's actually running the CIA, and would never ever like be that public. Like even when it was Lockhart, he was sort of at the margins, kind of guy behind the guy-ish. But he operates in the shadows. He doesn't need
at the Waffle House.
Exactly. He doesn't need to be confirmed by the Senate. He doesn't need any to be on television. He's going to do his thing.
Quinn could kill Dar.
Ooh.
That's a thing that could happen.
Maybe.
If we get Quinn beyond episode 1.
True.
Don't kill Quinn.
I
So
feel like the next season could open with Carrie reading the we won't even see it.
I hope not. So yeah, we'll be back next year for season 5, but we hope you'll join us in January. We will be back with new season recaps of Downton Abbey and Looking, and whenever The Americans comes on, we'll be doing that too.
And
oh yeah, Mad Men.
No, Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, whatever.
But also Mad Men. But I think Mad Men comes in like 2019.
No. I think January finally the end of the end is happening. So be here.
Thanks, everybody.